Initially, the US entered the war in Vietnam in support of the South Vietnamese as a counterpoint to the Soviets and China supporting the North Vietnamese. This meant that the war in Vietnam was sort of a proxy war between the US and the Communists during the Cold War.
In the beginning of the war, the United States only sent planes to bomb the North Vietnamese. The problem was that the airfields were extremely vulnerable to attack, so they sent over a few thousand Marine soldiers to protect them. But throughout the war, more and more soldiers were sent into the jungles of Vietnam. The number of men peaked at around 500,000 American soldiers. This was the first war America began using helicopters to deploy soldiers directly into battle. The tactics of the United States were never really clear. That is seen in one of the most remembered battles of Vietnam, the Battle of Hamburger Hill. This was a 2-week campaign that cost the Americans 70 men and around 1,500 Vietnamese also died. 3 weeks after the Americans won the battle, they left and the North Vietnamese took back the hill with no casualties. The North Vietnamese nationalist Ho Chi Minh led the guerrilla warfare tactics the North Vietnamese used to even out the playing field against a technologically superior enemy force. The North Vietnamese were far superior in jungle warfare, and they were masters at tunneling under US defenses and setting deadly traps in the thick jungle floor. At the end of the war, 3 million casualties were taken on both sides, including civilians.
During the Vietnam War, or perhaps because of it, hippie culture was at an all-time high. Peace and love were what the public wanted, which meant that the war being fought by the USA in Vietnam was extremely unpopular among the US citizens. This was only worsened by the lack of communication between the government and general public, which resulted in very few knowing why the US entered the war, making it seem extraordinarily pointless for the average Joe. This meant that when soldiers returned from the war, they did not get the welcome of a hero that soldiers had previously received. Instead, they were shamed and looked down upon.
On April 29th, the North Vietnamese bombed Saigon and a lot of people had to be evacuated. In the afternoon on April the 30th, they took over parts of the city and ended up raising the flag on the top of the presidential palace. The war ended on April the 30th, 1975, with the victory of the communist North Vietnam. USA used a lot of money to keep South Vietnam from becoming communist, but it didn't help as much as they wanted it to, and the South Vietnam ended up becoming communist. This gave North Vietnam an advantage that helped them win the war. Some people believe that it was the US that should be considered winner of the war because Vietnam only had a little to do with their goal. The US wanted to prevent the spread of communism in the nearby countries, and since these countries did not become communist and they withdrew from Vietnam with negotiated peace, they could, by this perspective, be considered winner.